for the first time just in the last few days, we've gotten some evidence from studies from around the world that having a face covering on can help avoid accidentally transmitting the disease, because what we're seeing now is asymptomatic people not showing any signs of the disease, might be able to transmit it. So out of an abundance of caution, this is what I'm saying to all New Yorkers. Take a scarf, take a bandana, just anything you have at home. Just cover your face if you're going to be in close contact with people who are not your own family under your own roof. Now, if you're socially distanced, you don't need it. But if you might, even accidentally get closer to people in the course of your day, going shopping or anything else to the grocery store, have something you can just cover your mouth with, even if it's for a temporary period of time. That just helps protect other people. It's not a way of stopping, the possible infection that you might experience. It's a way of making sure the whole community is safe by people not inadvertently spreading the disease.
Oh, that's great that we just got some information about the masks. Oh, okay, de Blasio. Has anyone ever seen a photo of what they do during flu season in a lot of Asia? Anyone ever see what's been going on in countries all over the world since the beginning of this pandemic? But now we've got some studies that show maybe you should wear a face covering. Producer Mark, where are you, by the way, on face covering gear right now? What have you got?
I believe my wife has acquired some cloth ones.
Okay.
So it's better than nothing.
Better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
I listen to the experts because I'm told if I don't do that, I'm a bad person. And I didn't get masks early when I was thinking about doing it. And some people told me to do it, and I didn't do it. And now I'm walking around like, okay, so I get to go online and click the button to get the mask, delivered to me, and it'll be here in like mid-May. That's exciting. That's great. That's perfect. Just make it for the next 6 weeks without a mask, and maybe we'll have a mask for you. That's really really confidence inspiring. This is why some of us are willing to. Producer Nick says. He's got some ideas for me here. All right, well, maybe I'll go to that website, but I just feel like, why am I not supposed to be annoyed by this? I mean, isn't it really, it'd be one thing if they said, get a mask if you want. They didn't just say, get a mask if you want to. They didn't say that at all. They said, you don't need a mask, and if you try to get masks right now, you may be stopping our first responders from getting what they need. Am I right or am I wrong, Producer Mark?
Yes, everyone did say that.
Yes, correct. Right.
They still are. They still don't want you to buy N95s. They want you to use a scarf or something like that.
Well, no, but they're saying cloth, some kind of a fabric
just cover
mask,
your face
whatever.
somehow, yeah.
But isn't this the most obvious thing imaginable? I mean, we were told, don't touch things, so wearing gloves became. But my problem with the glove thing is, okay, so let's say I put on my little surgical gloves, my little rubber gloves, and I go out. I'm going to walk Tallulah right after the show today. I'm going to go out with my little gloves on. And I'm going to touch some stuff in the elevator, right? Because I have to, because otherwise I'll just sit in the elevator, which, by the way, just being in an elevator feels like that's a little COVID-19 incubation box. Hundreds and hundreds of people live in my building, all using the elevator. So, okay, so then I go downstairs, and then I touch a bunch of things. But if I touch with my gloved hand, let's say, a button for the elevator, and then that glove finger, I touch, I don't know, a part of my sleeve, and then 6 hours later, I touch that sleeve with an ungloved hand, and I put it in and then I touch my eye or something. Like, I just feel, look, I'm not saying don't do it. It just feels like it's not, you drive yourself nuts with this stuff. Yeah? No? Mark? No?
Sorry, I didn't realize you were speaking to me.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, I mean, every time, I don't go to the house much. I don't have a dog to walk or anything. So every week when I go grocery shopping, I've been taking off all my clothes as soon as I get home, shower.
Whoa, hey, Producer Mark,
all
it's
right,
a party.
You know what I mean.
Party at Producer Mark's house.
You had to make that weird, didn't you?
It's his birthday. Yeah. He's going to party like
I get into my birthday suit.
His birthday in the club with Producer Mark. I hope you did play some 50 Cent yesterday.
Nope. There was none of that being played, Buck.
Mr. 50. I remember on that real estate show they're trying to sell 50 Cent's house in Connecticut, and the problem they said for the house was that it was too big. Like, it was actually just too big. No one would want a house that big. There's no reason to have a house that big. It would be like living in a hotel by yourself. Do you ever see that?
I've seen many celebrities' houses that are just ridiculously large.
Yeah, no, his house, it was like, I'm guessing at the number, but it was like a 20-bedroom house. And that sounds cool until you realize, like, what are you doing with 20 bedrooms? Like, it just makes no sense. There's no reason for a 20-bedroom house. But it had an indoor disco and things like that. So there was a poll, I remember, in the Mr. 50 Cent home, a poll for what I believe could be either an aerialist or perhaps an exotic dancer.
I'm not going to guess which one. I don't think that's safe for the radio.
It's actually both, yeah. I believe. My understanding,
for
my
both?
limited knowledge my limited knowledge from both the aerialist and exotic dancer community is that the poll is something that can be used for either.
You have friends in both industries?
I mean, plead the fifth or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I do know that they shut down. I know that they shut down cabarets, which is a nice way of saying it, all across New York very quickly for fear, obviously, of contamination. But I'm just going to say it. I mean, if contamination was the concern, they should have shut them down a long time ago.
I'm going to agree with that, Buck.
Right? Public health hazard. I'm just going to say it. All right. So what else is going on in the world of the quarantine? Producer Mark, take us through a little bit of what the plan is for the weekend, my friend. What are you going to be doing?
Well, I'm going to go grocery shopping after the show at some point when my wife returns from work.
Nice.
And then I'm going to stay home. I think I'll stay in. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to listen to the Pandemic Preparation Council that says stay home. I'm going to do the same thing. This is what I was telling everybody. I'm just asking questions about this stuff. I'm not telling anybody to take any risk. It was funny. You know what I was thinking about doing? And this is one of the things where when you're really bored, you have a thought that you think is great, and then you realize it's the dumbest thought you ever had. I like, from my time living in D.C., which you remember not long ago, I like those electric scooters. They're fun. You look like a dork on them, but who cares? They're a lot of fun. And right now, New York is abandoned. Like you can do it in D.C. because the streets are so much less crowded. New York is abandoned on the streets. There's no people, and so you wouldn't have the problem you normally would of riding one of those scooters in the sidewalk or in the street. And I was like, I'm gonna go on Amazon or whatever, and I'm gonna get one of these electric scooters. And then I realized, if I had to call you, Producer Mark, because I had to go to the ER because I broke my wrist on an electric scooter, given what's going on here and what's happening, with the ER, I mean, I would never forgive myself. But I had like a 5-minute period where I was like, yeah, I'm an electric scooter all over town. It's, it's not a risk to anybody in terms of the virus or me or anyone else. I'm not going to be close to anybody. But then I realized, but if you hurt yourself right now, you're really, that's very bad.
Yeah, I don't even know how I would react to that phone call.
Yeah, I don't want
it would be a mix of anger and laughter.
Yeah, it would be very, very dumb. So I'm not doing that. I'm trying to think of it. Maybe I was thinking about taking up jogging again. It's been a long time since I've been a jogger. So I don't know. I got to get outside and do some things other than, I think I might do some podcast recording this weekend for a history podcast.
Great.
Which is exciting, which we'll put out in the stream for those of you who are podcast listeners as soon as we can. Give you something to listen to that's not just this continuous series of updates about the collapse of the world. And yeah, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what ends up happening here. What's the top of the? Are you watching The Creek that we cannot name for the weekend? Is that the main show?
We finished everything on Netflix. Now we have to go for the newest season to Pop TV. So there's one last season. This is the last season they're in production, so we got to finish that, and then I'm not sure where we're going next. But it's a really good show. Highly recommended. I wish I could say the name of it on the air.
Oh, The Creek.
Yeah, The Creek.
The person.
Yeah.
That we will not say on the show. Yes. I will check it out on your recommendation. I did ask last night. We had a great Twitter thread last night, and I asked people what their best not super well-known Netflix shows were, right? I asked them what the best not super well-known, and I will say that the biggest, people kept saying Ozark, and I'm like, guys, come on.
Everyone knows about Ozark.
Ozark is like number one right now on Netflix. I'm like, they didn't pay attention to I tweeted out to them, okay, internet. By the way, we got almost 3,800 responses to this. Let's give you a sense of, the power of the
probably
interweb.
The first time you've been ratioed without it being negative.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, that's probably true. Man, when the Buckster gets dragged, he gets dragged hard. I go hard in the paint. What can I say? And sometimes it goes the wrong way on me on Twitter, and whoo, man, the libs come after me. But I have no other way, man. I got two speeds: all in or eating Cheetos, watching TV. You know, that's how I roll on the Twitter. Okay, Internet, your best Netflix series recs that are not obvious. Please, no Narcos, House of Cards, etc. What's the best you got? Go. And people gave me a lot of great options to check out. So I'm going to share some of those with you now. That was what I was planning to do all along. I would just say, though, that when I say not obvious, I mean, I think Narcos is probably, Ozark maybe the most obvious, other than the Tiger King show, which...
Yeah,
Carol
Tiger King is most obvious.
Carol Baskin. Let me tell you about Carol Baskin. That guy's... You know that he has COVID-19?
Does he?
I just saw that.
Wow.
Yes, there was a story yesterday that the Tiger King's in prison, and he's got COVID-19. So, here we go. The best recs that I got off of this one were... David Harsanyi said The Last Kingdom, but I've told you guys about that one a lot. Ariel Davidson was very funny. She responded, I don't know if you've heard of this show about tigers and polyamorous libertarians, but it's called Tiger King. Yes, indeed. I'm familiar with that one. The great recs, though, that I have for you, are Longmire, which I've been meaning to watch, Justified, which I've been meaning to watch, a show called Fauda, which is about an elite Israeli counterterrorism unit fighting against terrorists, obviously. Those were the biggest ones. Ned Ryan, my conservative friend, you've probably seen him on Fox. He wrote 000 on Amazon Prime. Have you heard of that one?
I have not.
I don't know that. I don't know that one. I don't know. I got Bloodline as a suggestion. I thought Bloodline was great, but it was the fifth season. It completely fell apart. And then The Creek that producer Mark likes, and I wrote on Twitter, producer Mark loves this one. That got Bosch was another one that a lot of people recommended to me. I'm trying to think what else we have on here. Umbrella Academy or Star Trek. I cannot verify that those are good options or good choices. But yeah, so basically Longmire, Justified, Bosch, Fauda. Someone wrote the Valhalla Murders, which sounds pretty interesting. I didn't check that one out. These are all... Oh, and Broadchurch. That was the other one I was looking for. I've seen a couple of episodes of Justified, and it's great. I just didn't see all of it, so I might go back to that. But the other ones, those would be new for me. So I'm just giving you Bosch, Longmire, Justified,
You didn't get
Fauda.
any Ted Bundy stuff there. I'm surprised.
The Ted Bundy tapes?
Yeah.
I got too creepy for me.
Really?
I bailed. Did you listen to it?
I watched half of it on a plane, but I watched the movie, and I like that.
Yeah. If someone's looking for a good movie, I thought Ford versus Ferrari was excellent. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. I mean, there's 1,000 of movies in that series. What's the point?
What do you mean in
anymore?
that series?
Is that not a Fast and Furious movie?
No.
Oh, I thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was.
No.
Anytime
Dude,
I see a car movie and one of those guys,
oh my
I'm just
gosh.
like, oh,
No. Oh, producer Mark, you silly man. No.
Right.
No. Dude, you and the missus, Ford versus Ferrari, it's Christian Bale and Matt Damon, and it's excellent. It's a really good movie.
I'll have to add it to the list.
Yeah, no. If you guys want to sit down, I'm going to watch on your rec, I'm going to watch the Uncut Gems.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Which people have told me is really, really good. So I'm going to watch that one. But Ford versus Ferrari, I'm actually probably going to watch Uncut Gems tonight. But Ford versus Ferrari, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I'm not super into cars, so I didn't think it's just a great movie. It's really well done. I mean, I think that Christian Bale is one of the best living actors out there. He's incredible, and you see him in movie after movie, and he's just phenomenal. So, but you don't want to get in his light, man, or else he'll call you an amateur. You ever remember that when he had the freak out on the Terminator Salvation set? You don't remember this?
No.
You don't remember that audio? Yeah, you were probably in the fourth grade or something. But it was a long time ago. But it was amazing. Christian Bale, some lighting guy, stepped into the shot when he was making Terminator Salvation, and he's just like, "No, until you're fired, I'm not going to do anything." His whole Cockney Welsh weird accent came out, and he flipped out at this, and he berated him for 3 minutes, and somebody released the audio. So this is what I tell producer Mark. He needs to stop berating me, or else one day I'm just going to release the audio.
And you guys don't even hear what happens off the air.
Yep. All right. On that note, roll call. All right, we kick it off with Mike, who writes, Buck, we're in a fog of war situation, lots of news pouring in, but not many verified facts. It's a lot to process. I think Trump's task force is doing a good job as more is learned. I'm glad they're willing to adjust course, not following blindly, shields high with situational awareness. Yeah, I also think that they're willing to make choices and distinctions along the way. I think that's a good thing. And I appreciate that they're doing their best. I think government hasn't exactly covered itself in glory so far in general. I'm not just talking about the Trump administration. I think just look around the world, right? We just weren't prepared for this. And anyone who says otherwise, I think, is kind of living in a happy land. It's just not true. Governments were not ready for this. Greg, hey, Buck, I was one of the people that downplayed this virus early on, but now I realize it's really bad. My only hope now is that they find some way to treat it. I live in Denver. We're on the lockdown, but life has carried on normal for me recently because I'm a truck driver. But now I was possibly exposed to someone that maybe was infected, so I can't even see my lady friend now. So I'm extremely upset and mad about it, but thank God I still have you to listen to. Shields high. Well, Greg, God bless you, man. You'll be all right. You'll make it through. I know that the quarantine period is stinks. But chances are, even if you saw somebody, the odds are in your favor that you didn't even contract it and you'll be fine. And the odds are overwhelmingly in your favor if you contracted it, you'll still be fine. So remember, the odds are definitely on your side here across the board. But I hear you, man. Look, I didn't think it was going to be that bad because I listened to the people that I'm supposed to be able to trust to tell me how bad it's going to be. And I don't really know very many people at all. I mean, I can think of a few on the internet who... And how many of them are catastrophists who are saying that we were about to go to war with Iran, or the Kurdish genocide was going to happen in Syria, or we're about to go to war with North Korea, and so they just take the most negative possible view of every current event. And this time around, it just so happened that they were right. Instead of they had some analytic insight that the rest of us were lacking. So yeah, that's where it is. Zach, Buck, could you do a deep dive on the Chinese Communist Party on one of the shows? I think that would be great. Keep up the good work. Shields high. A deep dive would be interesting, would be worthwhile, I think, if people appreciate that. That's probably more of a podcast that we would do than a something we do on the radio, because I think that some of our stations, it's just, you got to remember the show is airing on over 120 radio stations, and I got to make sure that all of our affiliates approve of the general content theme and vibe and all that. So we'll probably do that on a podcast. Hey, Buck, I just want to provide a glimmer of hope to you in this bleak COVID world. I'm a registered nurse at a local hospital, and my husband is a doctor. Every day he gets updates. Our ICU has been packed, and we do have several positive and rule out COVID patients. In the next few weeks, since we started receiving critical COVID patients, they've all received Plaquenil, an easier way of saying hydroxychloroquine, and one of the monoclonal antibody meds. Today he gave me the news I needed to hear. 2 patients have been extubated, 0 deaths. Now, there have been some deaths in our area, but not at our hospital. I know there will be deaths sooner or later, but I feel like it's a major accomplishment since we haven't lost a single patient since this started. I'm hopeful about the Plaquenil, and even though one of my colleagues had tested positive and I myself am awaiting test results, I am hopeful. Like you said, the experts have been wrong. They really are always wrong. I need to point out also many patients are sent home to recover as their symptoms are mild. NYC is bad because every normal day is a war zone at your hospitals and they're completely overwhelmed. Well, Aaron, I really appreciate the perspective of somebody that's dealing with this, and also the fact that your husband's an MD. So you guys, between the two, you have a lot of knowledge to bring to this discussion, and that's very, very worthwhile right now. And I hope that the procedures that people are going through, and I hope that the way that we're trying to get these treatments out there is going to be successful. Meaning that I hope that we find out that this is what we need to beat this thing, And within the next few weeks, my understanding is we'll have a much better sense of that. So, thank you so much, Aaron. I don't know what local hospital or what area you're in. I'm curious. Write in and tell us. Just, you're obviously not in New York, but I'm wondering where you are. If you don't mind letting us know, that would be great. So let's see here. Trying to find more of the roll call, and to that end, I'm going to make sure that we bring in. I feel like sometimes I favor the inbox on the Facebook just because it's so much easier. But now I'm going to turn us to, here's a fun one, on Instagram. Carolyn writes in, thinking about you in New York, I wish it was different and we were listening to the usual news in the primaries, missing the daily entertainment. Oh, Carolyn, look, I hear you on all that. I wish I could do more fun stuff here on the show. It's just really, there's no news that you can talk about right now that's anything other than what we're dealing with. When we're think about it this way. The economy has shut down, but news has also shut down except about the virus. There's really no other news that anyone's collecting or gathering. We're all staying at home, so there's not really much else going on. Somebody who writes in saying, I don't have a name for this one, but the United States as a whole is destroying my local lock. Then we only have 24 confirmed cases in Columbus, Georgia. 100-some people as people interest but have not tested positive. We are second largest city in Georgia. My family owns a gas station. Our sales are down. We have reduced staff hours but have not let go of anyone. Shields high. We will overcome this because we are the United States of America. Well, thank you. We will overcome this. Shields high, and I appreciate hearing from you. This comes from a I don't want to say their names on Instagram because that might be that's identifying, and I don't follow some of these people, but this one came in as well, so you'll at least know this one. Buck, I wanted to reach out and wish you and producer Mark good vibes as you and your families are at the epicenter of this pandemic for the American people. I appreciate and enjoy the fact the show is still being produced even in drastic times. Your show voice is one of the shows that opened my thoughts and led me back to conservatism. I am curious your opinion on a thought I had a while back listening to your show. As an American citizen, should we be concerned about the power of the federal government being able to just shut everything down? This time it was warranted, but in the future, does this set the precedent for the government to just shut down business and industries they don't agree with? Is there a way back for us to go back from this precedent so that it doesn't happen for political reasons? I appreciate the show. Continue fighting the good fight. Thank you, my friend, that I don't have your name up here, but you'll know if you're listening to the show. I am very worried about that. And I would think it's almost a certainty right now, almost a certainty. So that the government will abuse the power that it currently has. That's what I really think is going to happen. All right, more roll call here. And remember, I was reading some Instagram messages before. If you don't, please follow on Instagram, Buck Sexton. We're going to be doing more and more there. And Mark, should we get people to go on the website yet? Is the website ready for prime time?
Yeah, absolutely. BuckSexton.com. We're having new content every day. More and more is coming out.
There we go. BuckSexton.com. Please do join in on that. We would love to have you guys checking out the site. There's a lot of stuff there. We're going to be building it out even more. Add it to your bookmarks, check in. We got content going up, show stuff. My Twitter feeds, I think, also pops up there. So good things. Benjamin, Shields High from West Texas. San Angelo is a small town of 100,000 that is lucky to not be connected to any interstate highways. We are about the middle of nowhere, West Texas, as you can imagine. We have 10 confirmed cases of the virus in the local hospital as I'm writing this, but are faring much better than Odessa or Midland for the moment. All the parks and public areas have been closed. School let out for spring break on March 9th and never reopened. We've been self-quarantining since St. Patrick's Day for the majority of the city voluntarily. They have drive-through testing stations at local hospitals and churches. Bars and restaurants all have either delivery or curbside service. We have to wait to get in the grocery store as the line has taped standing points 6 feet from each other. The wait to get in the grocery store varies about 15 minutes to an hour depending on the time of day. When the governor of Texas came down with his executive order for voluntary city shutdown of non-essential services, everyone panicked and began buying up all the food and toilet paper. Speaking of which, the TP has been mostly off the shelves everywhere except major Dollar General or Sam's Club for the 15 minutes after they unload the pallet. For the most part, life goes on, though. A lot of our economy is based on ranching and industrial services, which continue unabated, although you'll see more people wearing disposable gloves or the random face mask. I work for a utility company that finds and repairs gas leaks, so we're considered essential services, although they've cut overtime off. We've been given a special letter and identification from corporate to show law enforcement we're working to fix natural gas leaks in case it really hits the fan, they start shutting down everything. But my corporate headquarters in Dallas is in Dallas, and it's a different world out here. The worst part is the oil rigs are shutting down due to the price of oil flatlining. Besides Goodfellow AFB, the oil industry is a major source of income for our local economy. I'm getting requests for work a lot more often now. Oil field supply stores are worried about staying in business, and all the high-dollar trucks and toys are on the local Facebook markets for cheap. We're not too worried about the virus, even with 10 people in town who have it. Take care of yourself. Best of luck to you in New York. My wife is a city woman who hated living in the middle of nowhere until the pandemic hit. Who knew this whole quarantine thing could make her a country girl all of a sudden? It's funny like that in life. Always cook your steaks medium rare. Take care. Shields high. Ben. Ben, thank you so much for the update from Texas, man. I'm glad. San Angelo, Texas. West Texas, that is. I really appreciate it. That's where one of my favorite shows, Friday Night Lights, is supposed to have taken place. So thank you very much. And that's what I need. I need to know what it's like in other places. I'm surprised that they've gone to those extremes of shutdown even in West Texas. But that just goes to show you how seriously the whole country's taking this. Karen writes in with regard to the swoop. Hey, Buck, great idea to have the mystery lady cut your hair. Even professional hairdressers don't usually try to cut their own. Order some scissors specifically made for hair cutting. You'll probably need to spend $100 for a decent pair, but it will make a big difference. First world problems. Well, Karen, if you follow me on Facebook or on Instagram, you will see that I have, in fact, purchased some high-end shears and also a thinning scissors or whatever. So, and I have clippers. So if things go really bad, the clippers are the fallback. So I might do this. The thing is, I don't know if we want to try to do this a lot. I think I'm going to try to cut my hair just normally or have the mystery lady cut my hair. But I also think if it goes badly and I'm going to just shave it down with clippers, I think I got to do that live stream. I think I got to live stream the head shaving, basically, if that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to shave it all off. Producer Mark, what level is it? Are you at like a half inch, a quarter inch on the clippers? How do you do that?
I should go with like a number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah, I don't know what that is in inches, but all the little guards are numbered.
Right.
4,
So you go with a 4. Yeah. So maybe I'd do like a 5. Maybe Mark and I would be brothers.
Maybe start out with like an 8, Buck.
Yeah. You start out with like an 8. I could do this. If I'm going to do it, though, if I'm going to shear the locks, I got to do it on video.
Yeah.
Bill writes, here in Denver, Buck, answering your call for a status update from Denver, Colorado. I'm a 65-year-old project manager in the construction industry, ironworkers to be exact. We are still hard at work doing what we can to shed light on how this whole entire situation may be affecting the economy. This may be an indicator of our recovery chances. Orders for bids for new construction and multifamily construction has not slowed one bit. We're still making deadlines and scheduling more. Iron strong. Oh, God bless, man. I just recently started listening to you as I do put in many hours at home as possible. My wife has COPD, so I have to be as careful as I can be. It concerns us both. We understand the alternative. For your reading pleasure, have you ever read any Joel Rosenberg? I recommend starting with the J.B. Collins trilogy, Shields High and An Iron Sword. I like this guy, Bill. Well, Bill, God bless, and thank you so much for writing in. It's great. We have such a wonderful group of Team Buck listeners out in the Denver area, and we really appreciate our Denver affiliate. So it's great that you're listening. I think you're listening on the affiliate. You might be a podcast listener, but either way, it's great. I've never heard of this Joel Rosenberg author. Never heard of. So I'd have to go check that one out. But I thank you for the recommendation. Here's a fun one. Ona writes, how did you and producer Mark meet? Your personalities are polar opposites. I love your show. I'm old enough to be your mother. My youngest is 39. Thanks for all you do. Praying for your safety and God's mercy on your city. Shields high. I'm going to leave that to producer Mark. Producer Mark, how did we meet?
Well, it was actually producer John If you remember him from, I guess it's been over a year since he's been around.
Producer John was my first Forever and Listening. You guys will remember original Team Buck Squad. He was my board op when I started radio 8 years ago.
Yeah, well, I worked with him at another station, and he recommended me, and here I am.
There we go.
Buck liked me enough to hire me, I guess.
Yep, that's how it went. He showed up. I was like, yeah. I was like, you want to do this job? He's like, do I want to do this job? You want me to do this job? And I was like, ooh, salty. Okay, let's go for it.
Yeah, that's how it went, sure.
It's not really how it went, but it's pretty close. I think that should just be the story.
Yeah,
you know?
we'll just call that the story.
It's like when people meet on Match.com and they're like, friends at a party. It's like our story is like producer Mark was like, you want to hire me. And I was like, yes, sir. That's how we went. So I'll take it. But yeah, no, it's actually it is a real story. And that producer John, who I've known now for almost a decade, who was my very, very first board op on the Saturday Buck Sexton show, when people were like, do you really think you can do radio? And I was like, yes. I was like the little engine that could. I think I can. And we had a great time on those Saturday shows. We had such a close connection with that audience, and I had the whole week to think about whatever I wanted to say. We did all kinds of wild stuff. It was fun. If by wild, I mean, talking about ancient history and things like that. A lot of political philosophy. We did a different kind of show in that regard. But yeah, that's how I met Mark. So, if Mark came highly recommended by producer John, and everyone loves producer John, so now everyone loves producer Mark. Isn't that nice how that works?
I owe him my livelihood.
Yeah. Kathleen, hey, Buck and Mark, thank you for the podcast. I hope you and yours stay well. I had this weird idea. Do you think it's possible that China has the cure or vaccine for the virus and has allowed it to spread worldwide in order to take control of the world? Is that their goal? Best wishes to all the Freedom Hunters. Kathleen. No, I don't think that China has the vaccine for this. I think that they're lying about being the reason that we're all dealing with this now. In fact, I know that based on all the information we have, we know that they're lying about it. But I did say that you can imagine how much damage somebody could do, if they wanted to do, if they had developed a virus and they could release it quietly and then they come up with the vaccine first. In fact, they already have stockpiles. They could even make it like, oh, we're the good guys. We'll get you guys vaccine as soon as we've vaccinated our population. Just don't worry about it. Think about what that would do to your competitor. Even if you only held back giving them the vaccine for 3 months or something, right? I mean, look, I know it's a little conspiratorial and everything, but no, I don't think China has the vaccine. But it is interesting to think about what the long-term implications are for biological warfare. Now that we see that this kind of an outbreak can bring a society to its knees, and it's the truth. Nicholas, hey Buck, writing from Colorado, we've been on state-mandated lockdown since March 24th. People are in good spirit and seem optimistic, and I've been able to continue working doing food delivery. Oh man, thank you, Nicholas. We need people doing that. However, I'm concerned that almost no one is willing to question the government's actions so long as they do it under the guise that it is saving lives. Every day I see the media and state governments stir up a little more fear, making people more than willing to sacrifice their freedoms for some security that is anything but certain. As you have mentioned, this point of view is considered inhumane, and I myself have been chastised for making this point. For me, a libertarian, it is heartbreaking to see our rights so easily taken away and done so to overwhelming applause. Maintaining this belief has been difficult for me. I don't want anyone to suffer illness or worse, die. But at the end of the day, I still believe in individual liberty above all else. Your show reminds me I'm not alone in this belief. We will get through this together. Shields high. Nick. Yeah. My friend, I appreciate you sharing this point of view with me. And people are, we like to think of ourselves as, there's the live free or die state, right? We like to think of ourselves as a live free or die country. Increasingly, we are whatever we have to do to make sure there's, I just want, as long as I got groceries and a warm bed and, everyone just kind of says, all right, we're just going along with it. I'm not even saying there needs to be pushback or disobedience or anything to the government now. I'm just saying, can we like ask for some explanation, some justification here? Or is that, no, that makes you a bad person. Oh, okay. Well, then in that case, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a bad person. I'm looking forward to when people explain to me why we shouldn't lock down every year for a month or two during the flu, which kills at its height sometimes, hundreds of people a day across the country.
I'm not saying this is the flu. This is much worse than the flu. But the principle that we're working under here is anything to try to lock this thing down. Well, whatever we got to do, we'll do anything. Okay, well, that's never been our approach to dealing with disease before. This is new. So I just want to know why we're having this new approach. My friends, I'm going to do this. I'm hoping you're all going to do it too. Give yourself some relaxation time this weekend. Bring it all down. Put some Kenny G on, take a hot bath, drink some Merlot, Producer Mark style. This is what you should be doing over the weekend. Relax yourself, take care of yourself. We'll be in this fight together till the end, until victory. Until then, shields high.